All right, Seanathon. Like, I've been knowing you for a long time, right?
Yeah.
We actually have something in common. We have the same mentor.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Bet.
that being Anthony Tony Bell.
Yes.
From being around you guys, whether directly or indirectly, myself, I have been on a journey to where you could say I'm woke to a certain extent.
Okay.
And I don't want to really use that word because, like we said before in the sidebar conversation, that word has really been hijacked and made commercial. But you guys have put me on a lot of different things, such as Dr. Umar Johnson, Wesley Muhammad,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And from that, the trickle down effect has come to where I have been more aware of my surroundings as it pertains to black issues.
Yes, sir.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about with you right now, being black issues. The first thing I want to discuss with you is what are your views on black kids in particular and education?
Okay. Wow. Black kids in education. I'm always referred to a book or a source when I talk. I never just talk. There's a great DVD. It's a great movie called Push Out. It's on Amazon Prime. And there's a accompanying book to go with Push Out. It talks about how our kids are, especially our black girls, they are overly policed. They are punished at an incredibly higher rate than other kids. They are suspended more than other kids. Suspended, put out of school. Of course, that impacts their academic performance incredibly. There's a term called adultification. I did a whole speech on this in Lafayette during the pandemic. Our kids are seen to be older than what they are for various reasons. Look at a case like Tamir Rice in Chicago. They in different cases where the person they interacted with, they claim the child was older than what they were.
So
These,
excuse
go
me
ahead.
for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely.
Tamir Rice, is that the kid who was
Chicago.
mistaken by a cop because he had like a water gun or something
Yeah, he
like
was.
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. But in all of these cases, when you read the actual description, even the kid that got shot at a guy's house a few months ago, he was going to the wrong house to go get his sibling or something like that. Knock on the door, he got shot multiple times by this guy. When you read the description, they say, man, the dude was like, he was 6'3" and 200 something pounds. When you finally saw this kid picture, man, it's like, come on, bro. Not even close. But in their psychology, our kids, my main point for the school thing, our kids are older, bigger, more violent, vicious than what they actually are. They're never seen as just children. It's just kids, right? When we see these other people kids do stuff, they say, oh, he was an honor roll student. Oh, he was a good kid. Oh, he was in so-and-so Boy Scouts or something like that. They get this incredible pass for being just a child making a mistake. Our kids are seeing that he should have known better. He should, all this adult expectations on our children. That's one part of the equation. Second part to the equation, a lot of teachers right now, depending on what city you're living in, you can tell these teachers don't really actually care about these kids. They don't actually even care about educating people. Maybe depending on where you're living at, there are not many other jobs for you to do depending on who you are. You're going to be a nurse or a teacher. Because I'm in the hospital field right now. I see a lot of nurses don't want to be a nurse. You don't care about people. You have no bedside manner. You're just trying to get a paycheck, right? A lot of teachers just happen to be a teacher. We had, you and I, those old school teachers, like my grandmother, they really cared about you learning. They really gonna take that time and that extra effort. And that's not saying all teachers. I know some incredible teachers. We're talking about just casting the wide net over overall topics. Some of these teachers, you're teaching in a certain school district, you wouldn't let your child go to that school district. Matter of fact, your child go to school somewhere else, but you're teaching over here. And so you subconsciously see these kids, and you teach these kids way different.
All right, and didn't you just say your grandmother was an educator?
Yes, man. My grandmother taught for like 39, 40 years. Franklin Junior High, 8th grade English specifically.
What's her name?
Dora Lewis.
That's what I wanted
Dora
you to say.
Lewis, man. She's taught generation of families, man. She's impacted so many households, so many families, and she's just an example of that. I hear all the stories about her after she passed. So many private stories about her taking this extra time and putting somebody on the side after class, after school, just pouring into people way beyond expectation of a school teacher. But those kind of teachers felt like that was their personal, their drive, their calling, their duty. Like outside the classroom, my grandmother still was always teaching. You can like talk in front of her. You can imagine a red pen over your words as you're talking, right? That person really loves to teach, classroom or not. You can tell so many of these teachers, you just happen upon that field, man. You don't really actually care about it like that. And that's a whole different kind of impact to the student, and that impacts their performance.
Okay, so I heard everything you said.
Yeah.
Number one, I really wanted you to give your grandmother, my former teacher, Miss D. Lewis, her flowers.
Yes.
But moving forward, everything you said is absolutely true. Our kids are held to a higher standard. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. I was just listening to Dr. Umar Johnson a couple nights ago, and he said something that was very, very profound. He said that, quote, show me a failing student and I'll show you a lazy parent.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
And once again, to unpack this education piece, we're talking about a whole pie of wrong. So I don't like finger pointing at any given person, like educators, parents, school board. No, this is a multi-pronged problem that takes a multi-pronged solution. Yes, parents do weigh an incredible. They got to carry an incredible amount of that weight only because I love that phrase where they say that the mother is the first teacher, right? You can tell a child, a small child, you can tell a child is being talked to, not being talked at. A child is being talked to. You can tell a child that the parent actually interact with them, like actually play with them, like actually do things with them, versus a child that the parent give him a little iPad, stick him on the sofa somewhere, stick him in a room, to where he being quiet, you can go and do what you want to do, versus spending that time with them. And when it comes to the academics, you had to put that time to sit at that table in the old school way, go over that homework, do those things, go over those lessons. Like that's, because with today's economy, unfortunately, so many of us parents got to work multiple jobs just to survive. So not even casting it like it's a bad shadow on the parent all the time. You really, really got to go and get it. You really got to go pay this rent, pay this light, whatever you got to do. So it's not always a person being an outright on purpose bad parent. All the variables in this big old gumbo that we have to live in all play a part, man. And that's just a part of the pie, that's a part of that situation. The kids fall to the wayside, man. Unfortunately. And even whenever a parent can sit with a kid, guess what? These schools go into what they call this stuff? What they call that stuff these days? This curriculum that they're using. What they call it, bro?
I'm not sure I can help you on that one right now.
You got it. You know it. They're doing this different kind of math lately, bro. My point being that they're doing something way different that most of us didn't get when we was in school. So even if you want to sit at that table and help your child out with their homework, you really literally can't even do it. It happens a lot, man. And a lot of fellow parents tell me these stories all the time.
That's that different kind of math right there.
Man, this is a whole different kind of curriculum, bro.
All right, so tell me this. We're both from the same hometown.
Right.
With your schedule and you being a public speaker and, an author and everything, I know that your time is very limited. And I don't know if your ears are quite to the street as it pertains to what's going on in Franklin right now. But
Okay.
right now, we have a extremely high crime rate.
Yeah.
The kids who are in high school, man, these kids are shooting, and they ain't shooting angels. You know what I mean? They're trying to hit flesh.
Yeah.
So with everything going on with that particular climate in Franklin, what advice will you give to the youth right now in our hometown in particular?
Man, well, I would say this, because I am busy and I have a lot going on, right? But unfortunately, I live in St. Martinville right now, for an example. It's the same thing happening across demographic, Baldwin, Franklin, Jeanerette, New Iberia. You name a certain particular community that we all can associate with. They're so parallel, it's scary. And the major advice for the youth directly, back to expanding your vision. You got to go and find people outside your direct demographic. You might not know no good guys in your life at all. But we got this technology now. You got to go and reach out and find better examples than you have right now in your direct circle. You got to see guys living life a better way in a more positive fashion, and they still having successful businesses, successful families, they're still living successful lives, not living that kind of life. A lot of our youth, we've always been enamored with the glitz and the glamour and cars and jewelry and clothes. That's always been a part of our culture in a major way. We got to find guys that are doing it in a positive fashion that's doing that. If that really, really attract you, that's your allure, right? You got to find different examples to be around, to go around. I know at the mayor, I believe they're getting a lot more things happening in the community lately, a lot more things with the activities and stuff like that. So we need more of that coming back to the community. We need for them to have more things to even do. In St. Martinville, where I live at, for example, it's the summertime right now. Summer almost over with. There's no major summer things happening whatsoever. In our childhood growing up in Franklin, we had stuff to do from like 8 in the morning till whatever in the evening. We were around the clock, round robin, doing stuff, man. Even at night, we had in Nico at the Black Wreck, we playing, summer league basketball. And we have the club Nico dances on the weekend. We doing that on Friday night. We all these things keeping us, active doing things. We need more of that going on for the youth. They have zero going on. It's dry. When I drive around making blocks, it's just desolate, dry.
Right. You know what? And I don't want to leave off on that note, because for every problem, I want to at least try to give a solution. So we're going to dig a little deeper. So let's say I'm a person, I live in the community, I'm an adult, and I see what's going on out there in my community. Mm-hmm. If you could tell me, if I came up to you on the street and say, what can I do to help my community get the violence down and get our youth more involved in things, what would you tell me to do?
Man, I would say first and foremost, contact some of your active city officials, because they know the direct people to talk to. Certain guys in the community, they know exactly who to go to. They got certain resources, or they got certain places you can go to, certain building access. If you say, man, I want to start a certain program, they know exactly who to go to. Like, okay, you want to do that? That's good. Contact so-and-so. They have access to this certain building or certain resources, certain things to get the ball rolling, and put some heads together. Like, man, this guy want to do this too. Y'all get together and collaborate, and let's do something together with the kids, right? Because any one man individual is not going to be enough to overcome what you got to overcome. It's going to take a group of us together. I want to say this too on the camera. We got to have more collaborative efforts, man. I'm seeing a thing to where it's like certain pockets of people is like, well, nah, they're going to be doing that over there. We ain't going over there. They're doing this at what time? We're going at a different time. Like, it's a small city with a small handful of people to do it to begin with. And we got all this like infighting or whatever's going on, this friction. We got to squash all that amongst the elders and let us come together on one accord for something positive for everybody. We need more of that going on, bro. I get deeply upset when I see a small faction of people doing this, and on the same exact day and at a different time, they doing this. It could have been a one-shot thing together and have such a bigger outcome and a bigger impact. Like, that makes no sense to me when I hear those things happen.
Totally agree.